Welcome in to the Paul Kuharsky Podcast, live from Edleys in Barry Farms. I'm Paul Kuharsky of paulkuharsky.com. Like to say my name a lot. It's good luck for the show. Welcome in. Happy to see you. Glorious Friday in and around Nashville, Tennessee. Going to see some baseball later this afternoon, even though my guy's sidelined with a bad wrist. We're going to talk about a ton here. Jeremiyah Love at 4. Why I'm still leaning towards that not happening and why I don't think it's a philosophical fit. The defensive line and how it intends to mess up protections for offensive lines. Alontae Taylor and how he's already shown me some accountability. Misaligned stars on the Titans' new helmets. And hills to die on. I have some thoughts on that. All of your questions, of course, mixed in. I appreciate you guys popping in. I already see Rooney Glover, love you, Blue, and Curtis. See more of you streaming in. Feel free to retweet. Tell your friends you're here. We're wearing the colors and the favorite of a variety of shirts that paulkuharsky.com has featured since 2017. Best insider coverage that you will find on this team and the most independent coverage that you will find. So welcome. Edleys BBQ here in Barry Farms. Let's start on Jeremiyah Love. Lots and lots of talk. Everybody's got the Titans taking Jeremiyah Love in their mock drafts. Drew Beatty did not. And his 7-round mock draft for the Titans that published earlier this week, which you should be reading. His rationale is largely positional value. I agree with him to a large degree about that. And I also look at this. Nick Suss of the Tennessean, who's always got great stats, pointed out on a football show with Braden Gall yesterday on the 440 Sports Network, of which this podcast is a part, that the last 20 Super Bowl winners featured one top 5 running back, Saquon Barkley of the Eagles, 2 Super Bowls ago. I've gone further and can tell you that Eagles rushing offense was also the only top 5 rushing offense that has won a Super Bowl in the last 20 years. That doesn't mean that having a great rushing offense is an obstacle to winning a Super Bowl, but it has not been a key recipe. That does not mean that Jeremiyah Love would not be an awesome feature of a Titans offense who could help Cam Ward fare far better. Certainly he could. But it does speak to the positional value of a running back as high as 4. I don't know if you saw Adam Schefter this week. He was on somebody's podcast, and somebody said something about Jeremiyah Love at 4. He made a very sour face and said he thinks that the Jeremiyah Love countdown starts at 5. I don't just think that the Titans won't take Jeremiyah Love at 4. I mean, that's not just my opinion. It's rooted in a lot of things about the Tennessee Titans, and I'm going to talk about those things here. I'll also point out that a top running back over the last 20 years, during which we're talking about only one Super Bowl winner having a top 5 back, and only one Super Bowl winner, the same team, the Eagles of 2 years ago, having a top 5 rushing offense. During that span of time, the average top running back in the draft has been selected 17.6. So for rounding that up, 18th in the draft. And that of those 20 years, if you go back the first 10 years, he was 16.6th. And in the last 10 years, that's dropped 2 whole spots to 18.6th. And that twice in the last 10 years. Twice in the last 10 years, that first running back hasn't gone off the board until the second round. Last time the Titans, multiple regimes ago, took the first running back in the draft, you remember who that was? Anybody remember who that was? the great, the one and only Bishop Sankey. Again, none of these things indict Jeremiyah Love, who I think is an excellent player. Here, Devin says the top running back contract is worth $20 million. The fourth pick gets $12 million, a discount of $8 million at running back if he's the best. Top 10 edge rushers make $40 million, a $28 million discount on their rookie deal. I mean, it's an interesting way to look at it. Everybody's discounted on their rookie deal. How much are you discounted? Sammy knew that it was Bishop Sankey. So here's another Jeremiyah Love point as we get deeper into this. Mike Borgonzi, who ultimately is making this decision, Chad Brinker, who is of some influence here. They come from two organizations, and they've spent a combined 28 seasons with the Chiefs, with the Packers, two organizations who had a great deal of success while they worked for them. In 28 combined seasons with those two franchises, the Chiefs and the Packers combined spent one first-round pick on a running back. That running back was Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who was pretty much a bust with the Chiefs, and he was one of the four leading rushers in wins by the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Isaiah Pacheco led them twice, proved to be a far better back, and he was a seventh-round pick. Mahomes led in the other game. Green Bay's best running back, drafted during Brinker's time there, was Aaron Jones, a fifth-round pick. Green Bay's leading rusher all time in the great history of the Packers was Ahman Green, who they acquired with a fifth-round pick in exchange for cornerback Fred Vinson, none of us remember him, and a sixth-round pick. They traded Fred Vinson and a sixth-round pick to Seattle for Ahman Green and a fifth-round pick. And Ahman Green is the all-time leading rusher in Green Bay Packers history. That is a far cry from using the fourth pick in the draft on a running back, even if he's Jeremiyah Love. Now, I'm not saying don't give him a running back. I like Love's teammate, Price. I've been, drafting in front of my TV, and Price was there at 101 at one time. So Big 2033 says, I'm going to give Ward a slot, a guy with a broken leg, fourth rounders, and a declining running back. It's not about running back. It's about a weapon to alleviate pressure on offense. And I agree with you. He needs a running back. He needs better than Pollard. I'd pair him with Brian Robinson, Pollard and Brian Robinson with Tajay Spears and Mullins. Or I'd draft a guy in the fourth. There's some good guys out there. There's a guy from Nebraska. There's a guy named Washington. And there's Price, another running back from Notre Dame, who I think is a very good running back. What's the gap between the best running back and the next best running back? What did Genty do as a rookie for a bad Raiders team? What has Bijan Robinson done for the Falcons? I'm not expecting these running backs to single-handedly turn a franchise, and certainly not in 1 year. And you would like a better wide receiver there than Love. I agree with Big here. But and Bain might be the alternative. Devin is saying Bain's a 275-pound running back, not fast enough to play NFL edge. I disagree with that. Jeffrey Simmons can play edge when needed and do the same as Ruben Bain when needed. He's not going to be out there very often. He's a defensive tackle. You're not going to take an all-pro defensive tackle and move him away from the place that he's an all-pro very often. Not often enough to take the snaps that Ruben Bain would have there. So, and you've already got a Ruben Bain archetype with Solomon Thomas. Solomon Thomas is a nice, reasonable depth player. He's not a starting caliber player, and he's not that rush and smaller guy. Now, Bain's not ideal for that spot either. Bailey might be, and Bailey could be there. If you got an edge, Shobi Buddha says, still want Love. But if we got an edge and a later round back, nobody will be mad if they find a Jet. Like Chicago found, right? All right, time to introduce a new feature here. If you want to jump the line with a question, Super Chat gets you to the front. We're going to try that out. So Super Chat is available here. Jump on Super Chat, and I'll go to you right at the front. Big says, the Patriots and Bears did something for their quarterback, and we signed a slot. Two things. It's not over. It's not over. So you're talking like it's over. Titans did nothing for Cam Ward. Well, it's clear they're going to focus on offense in the draft. It's clear. Now they got to address center. Hopefully they're going to get a veteran guard. If not Zeitler, still one or two options out there. But he's going to get a running back somewhere. He's going to get a running back somewhere. And two, he's going to get a receiver in the draft, certainly. And three, Wan'Dale Robinson is not purely a slot. You could think of him that way. He played 43% outside last year. And the Titans are clearly going to run more too tight, and Wan'Dale Robinson's going to be one of the two receivers on the field most of the time when they are in too tight. So it's time to stop. I mean, maybe he has to prove something to you as an outside receiver. That's fine. But he's going to be used outside. And say they're rotating three receivers in the too wide set, in a too tight set. He's going to be one of them. It'll be him, Ridley, DK, and whoever comes in now as a high draft pick. So I think you're still going to see that. Snoop points out even Derrick Henry was a second-round pick, and Derrick Henry struggled early in his NFL career. It took him a while to find his feet. But I think it's really foolish to suggest that the Titans are done giving Ward his new weapons, and if they don't give him Love, they're not going to give him anybody else. I mean, look, Love's the best running back in the draft. Is he guaranteed? Seems like it. But, I mean, there have been other guys, when Cleveland drafted Richardson, he was a guarantee, Trent Richardson. What became of him? So you don't know for sure. And even if it's a sure thing, you let him be a sure thing somewhere else, address something else, and get a running back elsewhere. They're going to get a running back. Defensive end still feels like the primary thing to me. And Bain's not my favorite out of those three. And look, there's mock draft machines that you play with. They're intended to randomize things. But could it be that we're too presumptive to think that Reese and Bailey are going in the top three picks? And could it not be that somebody does something different ahead of the Titans that we don't expect? Mendoza won for sure. Do we know for sure what the Jets are doing and the Cardinals are doing? I don't think so. And could the Titans, be perfectly willing to let people think they're taking Love so somebody trades up and takes Love so that Bailey or Reese survive to them at 4, which could be, conceivably a masterstroke for them. That'd be terrific. And look, Pollard ran well in the last 5 games. He's over 85 yards, I think, in the last 5 games. They blocked better. Kentucky and Santa Clara going overtime as Kentucky, I think, just hit a shot right at the buzzer of regulation. I've not done a good job watching games the last 2 years. Sam says the funky thing about this draft is the best prospects either don't play premium positions, Love, Styles, Downs, or other glaring questions like size for Bain, position for Reese, or Ben for Bailey. I mean, in one paragraph, he just, Sammy just really boiled it down. And Ed No, sorry. Jeremy says he's not against Styles at 4 and wide receiver in the second, or trade down and get one of the wide receivers. Styles is another great player, but the positional value question comes into play again there. And I think he'll be a terrific player, but off the ball linebacker is also devalued. And when I write this piece, I've got it written, my piece, saying a lot of this stuff about Love. I'm not giving you everything I've got. I've talked to some personnel guys around the league, and what they say about premium and non-premium positions is somewhat eye-opening. It's people articulating a lot of what we've talked about. That is very important. Devin, it's almost guaranteeing something that he can't guarantee. You do not know who's the Titans guy. He likes Bailey. Hope the Cardinals don't steal him at 3. Thank you, Unit. What will the Titans do at center? Look, I think Schlotman, I got to learn how to pronounce his name apparently because it's not Schlotman, I'm told. It's front of the line. Jackson Slater's there, but they got to bring in somebody to compete with him. And there are centers there. Slaughter, Connor Lew probably goes a little bit higher than they'd like. You'd like them to get their guy in the 4th round. Can they get their guy in the 4th round? That to me would be the ideal spot to get a center. Could you get a center who could come in? I think of it like Nate Davis, right? You're not going to play maybe on opening day, and maybe you could patchwork it for a month, get some reasonable play. Who remembers who played ahead of Nate Davis for that month? So you play somebody ahead of him for a month, continue to get his feet wet, and then you turn to somebody like, again, Connor Lew seems high, Sam Hecht from Kansas State, Jake Slaughter from Florida, Logan Jones from Iowa, Brian Parker from Duke. All seem to be well-regarded guys who seem to have a combination of NFL intelligence and NFL bodies who should be able to play. Now, there are disadvantages, certainly, to playing rookies. It's not ideal to have a rookie center dealing with Cam Ward. But I think the Titans have to be able to adjust on the fly to something that they didn't expect. And I think we saw the market at center do things they didn't expect. Biotish signed immediately before free agency really opened. He was cut, so he was available. And the Chargers made a decision that he was their guy. McGovern re-signed immediately with Buffalo. And we saw Patriots trade their guy to Chicago. And Chicago, Garrett Bradbury, and Chicago became a suitor because their guy retired unexpectedly. So there are 3 ripple effect moves that really shriveled up the market at top line center. And then Linderbaum, got a ridiculous amount of money. Look, Skoronski could get done, but there's no immediacy to it. They can do the 5th-year option and they buy themselves some time. But he'll get a deal at some point for sure. Thank you, Unit 285. If you draft a good receiver early, does he get Isle Manor's spot? They don't have to be hard mapped in. They do not have to be hard mapped in to specific spots, right? So, we'll see. But they're going to play a lot of people. And how much time does he need to get ready? Those are fair questions that need to be sorted out. Not everything locks in as soon as they draft by any means. So I think Isle Manor has a lot of growth, to catch up with, and we'll see how he does that. Here is the offensive depth chart that I've put together. So, there's Ridley and Chim as the top two. Did I not have a slot there? That might not. It might have gone off the screen there. But by the way, this is the way of me showing this nice looking depth chart with me projecting the roster, including the holes, is available at paulkuharsky.com. Another reason to support independent journalism on the Titans. Every time they sign a new guy, I put him in. I put him in there and I slot him. Talk to people about, is this guy more Simmons, more behind John Franklin Myers, more behind Jermaine Johnson? Does he fit that smaller end, faster spot, et cetera, et cetera? So as a benefit, a feature of membership for less than a cup of coffee, a beer, or a cocktail, you get in-depth Titans coverage from me, Mike Herndon, Drew Beatty, Blake Bedingfield, who will reemerge soon, and Braden Gall, and it supports independent Titans journalism. Come join paulkuharsky.com. Chris Flint says the case for Love for this team is baked into the franchise DNA. Defensive background, head coach, elite running backs have been formula for success. Embrace who you are. I don't disagree with you, but the elite defense is not yet built. And to get to that elite defense, you need an end in that hole on the other side. So the question is, where do you get that, and where do you get the running back, and does the running back have to be Love? I don't know that Trent Richardson is a great example. Pretty sure he was good before he got huge and slow. Well, he got huge and slow in the year between getting drafted. Was he good in Cleveland? I don't think he did very much in Cleveland before he wound up getting traded in Ryan Grigson's probably low moment. Oh, that's a good question here. My dude, 3719. He's been curious what I think of J.C. Treader as new head of the PA, and do I think the negotiations with the NFL refs will impact the season. J.C. Treader is a disaster. The NFLPA is a disaster. When the NFLPA is strong and has had good leadership, it's managed to do just okay in negotiations with the big bad league. And look, the system is built not to favor the players who can't strike because the bulk of the membership can't afford to miss games or their time window shrinks. And so it's built to favor the owners. Then if you get good leadership, if you get Gene Upshaw, you can do all right. But if you have the kind of leadership they've had lately, it's bad. And Treader was hiding things from the players. And then he said he wouldn't run. He was going to disappear. And within 9 months, he's back. And they elect him. And they don't give the membership enough candidates. They don't give them enough time. It is a shit show. The NFL union concerns itself with things that aren't important, don't concern themselves with things that are important enough. They will let the NFL negotiate this thing out. Here's what we'll give you in exchange for an 18th game. This is as good as it gets. Take it now, or it's only going to get worse. And if the players are smart, they'll take it now because it will only get worse. And they've got no leverage. I mean, they do have some leverage, but they're not smart enough. They're not organized enough. They're not powerful enough to use the leverage that they do have. And the only things that they win are unimportant in the big picture and hurt the game. It's more off-season time off, stuff like that then hurts the product. Casual Friday because I'm wearing the logo. What was the second half of that question? The referees. I mean, if the NFL gets into a big fight with the referees and uses replacement referees because they will not pay NFL referees what they owe. Look, NFL referees are shitty and they can't keep up with the game and they need more help from replay and from upstairs. But if the NFL won't acknowledge that they're the best they have, and they're going to go again to the people who called the Fail Mary, to the level of people, to the caliber of people that called the Hail Mary, it's going to be universal outrage. And now with betting in play, there are going to be more accusations flying. It'll be a disaster. And really, really bad and stupid. Hail Mary, as Sammy says here, 2.0 is going to hit so hard when it happens. I'll hit super chat questions first here and then work through the rest. Second big issue I wanted to hit here, not issue, Alontae Taylor. We talked to 6 guys on Wednesday. I got some shit from some fans for asking the question that had to be asked of Alontae Taylor, and I couched it nicely. And Alontae Taylor had already established that he was very comfortable. All these guys were pretty good talkers, and he, I thought, was the best. And he's the guy I'm most looking forward to it, to getting to know. Pro Football Focus says he gave up 8 touchdowns last year. I think it was 13 the last 2 years. It's 20 in the last 3 years. But I asked him about 8 and 13, and he said, that's crazy. But if that's what people see on film and people feel like those are my responsibilities, playing the position I play, that can happen. So he was accountable for that, and he talked about it. I think it's crazy that people would think like that's silly for me to ask that question. That's the big question. With Alontae Taylor coming in, being counted on to be one of the Titans' top 2 outside cornerbacks, to not ask him about that would have been ridiculous. But I thought he was very good about it. Also, I thought he raised a really good point. I like that. A lot of people are riding him into the slot, and he made it clear he's expecting to be outside after being inside. He was an outside guy in New Orleans, and then he was an inside guy, and now he's going to be an outside guy again. And he pointed to what Robert Saleh did with Diamador Lenoir in San Francisco, who followed a similar route. He was an inside-outside guy who became an inside guy the year before Saleh got there back as defensive coordinator. And then last year became an outside guy and had a good year. And Taylor sees in himself projects for himself what happened for Lenoir in San Francisco last year, which I think is shows he's really done his homework and has a vision for himself, that the Titans have a vision for himself. We heard the story about Saleh kind of pitching Cordell Flat on the job that the Titans had for him. Flat kind of distanced himself from that story. I think he didn't want to embarrass the Giants. But Taylor made it clear like what the Titans spelled out for him and what they saw and kind of what the pitch was. And I think that was really, really good. And so we're very clear on what they did. My dude, 3719, wasn't even aware I had super chats turned on. Appreciates the consistent quality work. I've had super chats turned on for some time. I've not mentioned that I've had super chats turned on for some time, foolishly. So I much appreciate it, my dude. You're my dude as well. Thank you. Adam, I like this feature. For $5, do you get 2 questions? What would be a ballpark return of trading back to 9? Second rounder? I think so. I think you should get a second rounder. I think it's probably discounted this year because there's not as much of it's not as much demand to get up. But so the Chiefs are coming up from 9 for what? There's been some speculation right from the beginning that they wanted Love. And there's some speculation still that they'd come up to get Love and pair Love and Walker. Can you imagine that? Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball to Love and Walker on top of what they're doing. The other guy they could certainly want there is Tate, because they definitely need new weapons. But you should have asked a second question there. Appreciate you, Adam. Appreciate all you guys. Ed, I don't know. Ed says, I wonder if there's data for the NFLPA that validates the practice rules they won previously and how that's affected player development and their overall contract value. I mean, players are doing pretty well contract-wise. So I don't know that the lack of development that is caused by the lack of off-season time is hurting the money they're making. It's hurting the product. But the cap goes up as a result of the TV contracts, and they're going to make their money. So it's not hurting them that way. It probably means more injuries, and there certainly is data on that. I don't know if they're looking at it on a granular level related to that. It should be, but I don't know if they'll connect the dots in that fashion. So I certainly think they should be. I'm at Edleys BBQ in Berry Farms. Edleys is all around Middle Tennessee. It's just great food. I'm going to eat here at the bar. The porch is open. The weather is lovely. You should eat here. It's just fantastic food. Look, you can get barbecued anything you want. And I really love the burnt ends. I really love the avocado salad. Thinking about wings today. But portions are great. Prices are reasonable. The service is spectacular. You come in and you just smell it. You can't go wrong with anything you choose. And it's local as can be. If you can't make it here, and you should, for a business lunch, for a family dinner, weekend's coming up. Great TVs here with the ball games going on. Kentucky is going to win this game over Santa Clara. Boo. Come in, catch a game, bring a buddy, have a beer at the counter, do whatever you can in that fashion. But if you can't make it to the restaurant and you're craving Edleys food, download their app, punch in your zip code, tells you if you're in range. I'm betting you are because there's so many restaurants. They'll bring the food to you, and the delivery fee, because they do it themselves and they don't rely on DoorDash or Uber Eats or Grubhub, delivery fee is really minuscule by comparison. Bring it to you fast, hot, wrap up the individual things as need be, and you'll feel like Edleys is in your kitchen, your dining room, your living room, your patio in no time. I can't recommend it highly enough. Edleys BBQ, great food and a great time. Check them out. I'm proud that they have chosen to associate with me. It's not anti-Love, Buckeye says. It's more logical. Styles will last a lot longer in the league than Love. Rather take a longer-term player for this rebuild. That's a reasonable argument for if you're going outside of a premium position, at least you're getting a player who will last longer in the league, likely. And, but it is a cheaper position also, and that makes things different. Do I think game day roster should increase from 53 with these extra games and injuries? I do not. I mean, your game day roster is going to be healthy players. Maybe you can make a case for increasing the roster. The game day roster is 48. I don't think the game day roster should increase. And Bill Belichick's spoken very intelligently about this. If your game day roster increases, specialists increase. And you've got a kickoff guy and a field goal guy. And then you've got more specific, run defenders and pass defenders. And then you got more specifically, a receiver you could put on the field who's a pass blocker. A run blocker versus a pass catcher. And I want more well-rounded football players who can do everything on the field. In terms of the overall roster, it's hard to get to 5 guys you're going to deactivate who are hurt, and that's what that buffer is for, to kind of equalize the health. But if you had 1 or 2 more, that wouldn't kill everything, and you get a couple more guys paid. I wouldn't have a huge objection to that. But I don't want a bigger game day active roster, and I think Belichick's been very smart on that. Sammy's asking, have I asked Blake in the past if the philosophy slides a bit in a funky draft with this, or do I stick to that no matter what? I will ask him that. And I will maybe ask him to write about that. He's going to do, he's back on board to do some pre-draft writing. What's the next time we will hear from Brian Daboll? During OTAs. So probably sometime in April. If there was an update on Kevin Zeitler, somebody's asking, I would share it. This thing where you guys ask me anything new on. If I had something new on X, Y, or Z that I could share, trust me, I would share it. I am not in the business of gathering information, shareable information, and sitting on it until somebody asks me a question about it. I really am not. I want information that I can share with you guys. That is my fundamental reason for existence and what I want. I wonder, as you consider Zeitler, if the Titans are compelled to see what happens in the draft. I wonder if Zeitler might want to, though I think he's the kind of guy that would want to be with the new coach in a new system out of the gate. If he maybe wants to miss OTAs and miss training camp. I wonder if they're just far apart on money. Seems like an $8 million, $9 million guy. So I don't know. They're far apart on money, far apart on length, which would come with guarantee over time. So we will see. Do I think the Titans could sign a veteran center who's cut from another team in training camp preseason game, period? Sure. But, you can't count on that. So that could be like, hey, we hope something happens there. But I don't think you can go into the draft and say we're not going to draft a center because we're counting on somebody getting cut somewhere. That's not a plan. That's a hope. That's not a plan. That's a prayer. I tend to agree with Sammy here. If KC stays put, they're getting one of the big three wide receivers. And I would think, if they're at 9, you take the guy. They might take the first wide receiver, so they'd have their choice of who they think is the best. I'm just making a living here, Howie, and I get to you. Current cap situation, Go Forth is asking. They're still in good shape. I'm not adding it up on a day-to-day basis. There are people out there that are doing that. Zach Lyons is really good at it. Dick wants to know, are the Titans done making moves until the draft? Don't know. These moves they've made recently are not large. So they had a tight end for a tryout. My opinion on actually solving the edge issue. Doesn't seem that round 1 and round 2 will be edge. Not a great track record at this position. I think round 1 is going to be edge. But I think round 1 or round 2 will be edge. And then they'll be done with it. Unless they draft a developmental guy later on. This question always amazes me. Why are they waiting until the summer for extensions for Simmons and Skronsky? What is the hurry? They have other things that are so more pressing. Draft preparation is more pressing. Free agency is more pressing. The only reason to hurry is so that Skronsky and Simmons can get big bonus checks in their pocket. Now, you could create a situation where one of those guys is a hold in at OTAs, and you want to avoid that. But the things that people feel are urgent sometimes are just not that urgent. Ed raises a good point here. Why is it always next year's draft better? And it rarely turns out this way. This year was supposed to be the quarterback year. That's true. I mean, last year we said, Cam Ward, and Shedeur Sanders. It'd be better if you had to pick next year. There's so many quarterbacks lining up. And this isn't a quarterback year at all. I mean, the second best quarterback in this draft is getting drafted where? I thought Simpson might rise, but, back end of the first round, maybe somebody trades back in. Something like that. At this point, I think it would be a surprise if he emerged as top 10 guy. I don't see it. And I think that kind of move would have happened by now, or you'd hear rumblings of it happening by now. Retweeting. If you're watching on Instagram, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Not on Instagram, sorry. If you're watching on YouTube, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. If you're on Twitter, you know what to do. X. If you're on Facebook, please join. And if you're listening later, the reason for the pauses sometimes is I'm scrolling through questions here to keep up with the people who are watching live. I know that's not always the best thing listening later, but I do get to meat and potatoes here that people want to talk about on Apple, on iHeart, on Spotify. Please rate, subscribe, thumbs up, all of that good stuff. I appreciate it. And if you're a member of paulkuharsky.com, I will send you a text message before going live. I'm pretty regular on Fridays, sometimes at 11, sometimes at 1. And I'll pop up from time to time when things are unfolding or I have a lot to say. I wanted to say something about a hill to die on. I've been anti-T-Rack. I've been very publicly anti-T-Rack. From the beginning, I was anti-T-Rack. Years have gone by. I haven't talked much about T-Rack. He's a non-factor and stuff. T-Rack and I and T-Rack fans have been engaged in this. I thought it would have been a really good chance for the Titans during this rebrand to get away from a squirrel. Think about how much time they took to name T-Rack, to name him. All right, they said, hey, we're going to go with the state animal. No effort involved in that. And then, hey, T, we're the Tennessee Titans, T and T. We'll start his name with the T. What else can we name him? Let's come up with a good name. Rocky, the raccoon. No. First three letters of raccoon are R-A-C. So we'll go with that letter T for Titans or Tennessee, and a dash, and then the first three letters of raccoon. All right, I think we've solved it. Meeting over. What was that, 30 seconds that I spent there naming T-Rack? I mean, the effort put into this mascot was minimal. I'm not a big fan of raccoons. I hear they're problem solvers and they've got some cleverness to them. There's no law that the state animal has to be your mascot. I know raccoons mostly for digging through my trash. Now, I understand other animals also dig through trash. Bears, eagles even, ravens certainly. But is that the first thing you think of when you think of those animals? It's not the first thing I think of, but it's the first thing I think of when I think of raccoons. Now, a lot of people like T-Rack. That's fine. Maybe your kid cuddled up to a T-Rack when they were little, and that gives you some sentimental value. I think a lot of people defend T-Rack just because T-Rack's been around for 27 years and you love him. But I, proposed some differences. I had an AI drawing of some, Titan-esque mascots that could have given them a link to the mythology that they're moving away from, that the only recall of now is the shield logo. And this Titan-esque mascot that I propose, Atlas, would hold that shield and bring it to life at Nissan Stadium and the like. And there was a lot of playful banter. I was pleased. There's actual playful banter on X. It's incredible. Until, of course, some thuggish type brought his band of thugs and said, this is the hill you're going to die on? I can't believe this is the hill you're going to die on. To which I say, You are allowed to express a thought on social media and it not be a hill that you want to die on. I have no interest in dying on this hill. It's just a thought, playful, conversational thought. I wouldn't so much as walk up a 1 degree incline for this. Better yet, walk up a hill. And I sure as fuck wouldn't die on it. I wouldn't die on the incline or the hill. Wouldn't even break a sweat for it. Just a thought. So not everything you say on Twitter has to be a hill you're going to die on. That's my moral of the story. Not everything's a hill you have to die on. You're allowed to have some thoughts, some opinions, some really strong, some a little less strong, some medium, some low. The Goldilocks, hot, warm, cold. Not a hill I'm going to die on. And you don't have to tell everybody that says something that you disagree with, I can't believe you're going to die on that hill. I'm not going to die on this hill. I don't think people forget that journalists are entitled to opinion. I'm an opinionist. I'm an analyst, columnist, and reporter all rolled into one. But you have a 3-year-old son who's very into T-Rex. Certainly there are more important issues. Am I only allowed to talk about the most important issues? Have we just wasted 46 minutes because we're not talking about Iran and homelessness? I mean, if we want to talk about more important issues, a football team that plays in Tennessee in the NFL football is not a really important issue. My God, I just said that in the South. Every one of those state animals that we talked about on the game, 102.5, the game on Wednesday morning, was better than a raccoon. Every one of them. Is there any criteria for the alternate rivalry jerseys that the league has? No. Colorless jerseys had to be a certain way. Well, yeah, they were based on color. I don't think there's anything about these. Make them good. Sam raised an interesting point. Sam, he says, NIL is keeping more players in school so the future drafts look good, but then, fewer guys are coming out. Well, I think at some point you catch up to that. Like we should be caught up to that, if not this year, next year. Then we have a feel for what's coming out. We know it's going to be, that the percentage of juniors maybe isn't what it was before. Oh, here's a good thing. This is a good point that I wanted to raise here. Dick Westbrook-Akine says, surprised they didn't bring SJD back. I always thought he was a good system leader. Look, Sebastian Joseph Day, James Lynch, to a lesser degree. Who else did they let walk? They let nobody was wild about Arden Key, but they let Chig Okonkwo go. They let Corey Levin go. These are good examples. Sebastian Joseph Day, James Lynch, Corey Levin. People are surprised. These were good depth guys. Sebastian Joseph Day, a little bit better. Lynch and Corey Levin, contributors. Now, these guys are allowed to make contributions. So let's talk about these guys. You got a guy like James Lynch or a guy like Corey Levin who made nice contributions for the Titans in their role. And the Titans need other guys in the similar role who will make similar contributions. It's okay that those guys who were guys for Callahan and Callahan's staff and maybe even for Vrabel and Vrabel's staff, it's okay that Saleh and his staff don't see the same things in Corey Levin and in James Lynch and have replaced them. James Lynch did some nice work, but these guys that Saleh are bringing in are different kinds of players and should be better players, deeper on the depth chart on the defensive line. And Corey Levin, they decided Austin Schlottman, however you pronounce his name, is a better guy for that role and create some room for Jackson Slater there. It's okay. You can say, hey, Corey Levin did some good work for the Titans in those years, but it's okay that they move on from him and he goes to Atlanta, as opposed to saying, oh, my God, how could they let Corey Levin go? I have never seen a market that is more hooked on depth guys who are nice guys than Nashville is with these guys. It's okay for Corey Levin not to be. Levin in particular. Nice guy. Did some great things in the community. Played well. Not a starting caliber center. Not the solution to the post-Lloyd Cushenberry thing. Free agency dried up, messed them up. They don't have a sufficient center. Corey Levin wouldn't have been that. Did good work. Say thanks. Keep an eye on him in Atlanta. Wish good things for him. Don't lament. Don't lament. It's fine they're going a different direction. It's fine they're going a different direction from James Lynch. It's fine they've upgraded for Sebastian Joseph Day. Those guys could have done fine work here, and the Titans can still be better off moving to someone else. Honest. Trust me. Got a lot off my chest there. Appreciate you people letting me know. Yes, and Mason Kinsey should be gone. He should be the next one. He's under contract, so that happens later. See, the center position, you could say, is bungled, but it's not bungled because they cut Lloyd Cushenberry, who they don't think can play anymore. And it's not bungled because Corey Levin isn't here. Brett Bowen, is it possible the NFL told Amy to use the Oiler color scheme or give it to Houston, which prompted the rebrand? I don't think so. I don't think that the Texans would change color schemes so dramatically at this point. I can't imagine that Mason Kinsey would still be here. But with this eligibility of guys who are veterans on the practice squad, they see Mason Kinsey out there. They see the same value in a guy who can play receiver and play safety on the practice squad and is a quick call-up that could play for you in a pinch and all of that. I don't know. I certainly hope not. Here's another thing with the clock. Chap Quest. What's the chatter on Will Levis? Everyone says he'll be moved, but when? Or will he compete with Trubisky? He won't compete with Trubisky. He'll be gone. It's a matter of when. During the draft is always a good time. But people think they're getting way more than they're getting. They're going to get a pick swap, like a 5th round, 6th round pick swap. They'll move up 15, 17 spots, something like that. You hope. It's not going to be significant. I should do a TED Talk. I would love to do a TED Talk. TED is not in my voicemail. Well, I think if the Titans did lean into the Greek mythology thing more, and that issue's settled, they're not leaning into it. And they should have just said, look, it's there very prominently in the shield, and that's the extent of it for us. Then they went into this Titans of Industry thing, which is stupid in my estimation. RP says, I also think the Titans should lean into the Greek mythology a bit more. It's popular in games like God of War and other media platforms right now. I don't know that I don't know. I mean, that's for people of another generation to judge if that's significant. Daryl agrees with me that the mascot is silly and it needs to be changed. And look, the guy inside T-Rock can be the guy inside the other mascot. I'm not against him personally. I'm not. Sammy asked, do I think there's another meaningful addition to the tight end room in the draft? The way Eli Stowers keeps being available for me in like the 4th round or the 3rd round after I trade down in the mocks that I'm doing, seems too good not to take. But I don't know. They certainly could use another one, though. If DMR is your 3rd tight end and you're just asking him to block, Curtis says, so Wandale was the only weapon for Cam? So far, he's been the only weapon for Cam. There's a draft ahead. I don't know that there's anybody out there that you would want right now. I would take – is Brian Robinson still not signed? I would take Brian Robinson, pair him with Pollard, but I'd rather have one of these mid-tier running backs in the draft. I expect that's what they're going to do if they don't take Love. 615 says Restrepo is going to replace Kinsey. I have this amazing idea where they're both replaced and they get somebody better than both of them because neither of them are good. Love You Blue is just coming to the realization that T-Rack is in fact present. And we're not going to say anything about Santa Claus here because we know we got a lot of kids in the audience, but I think the kids do know that is not a real raccoon. 615 is also putting Ridley in the slot. I mean, if you're in 3 wide and you're putting somebody in the slot, it should be Wandale. Now, they're going to rotate people through there. I don't think they're going to be so predictable that you know who lines up where every snap. And Wandale will be outside, and they'll be in more too tight, and they'll move people around. But if you're looking at it and the season's over, the guy who's going to be in the slot the most is going to be Wandale Robinson. Stowers is not discount Chig. He's bigger, is he not? Bigger. And they need to be bigger. I think Njoku's redundant, and he's going to find more snaps. He'll find more snaps with somebody else. It is a little bit remarkable that he's been out there so long, don't we think? If you are catching this later, you could hit super thanks under the video. Mr. Titan hopes all is well. I hope all is well with you. All is well here. Heading into a weekend. Excited. A little bit ahead. I've got a short piece on Alontae Taylor written. Got a longer piece about what we talked about at the beginning of this story about why Jeremiyah Love might not philosophically be where the Titans head written. I've got a text waiting here from Mike Herndon about what his plans are, so I'm excited about that. I'm looking for a sponsor, by the way, for Drew Beatty. My deal there ran out. So if you know anybody interested in connecting themselves to Drew Beatty, who is a real riser in the film study business and is doing amazing work on the Titans. Not expensive at all. Email me at pkuharsky@gmail.com. pkuharsky@gmail.com. I'd love to talk with you about how our businesses can help each other. That would be fantastic. And Brett is going to take me out on this. Asks me, who did I pick to win the NCAA tournament and what is my Final Four? And I'm going to admit that for the first time since I was old enough to understand the NCAA tournament and March Madness, I did not fill out a bracket. And I don't know why. Like, I think the tournament is still interesting. And I'm not anti-college basketball, though I find it less entertaining than it's ever been before. Regular season, at any rate. I think NIL and the transfers and guys going to the pros early has ruined it to a degree. I did not watch more than 5 minutes of any college basketball game all year. My kid wants to win $1 million and was convinced by something on ESPN or something that filling out 25 brackets would help him. So he filled out one main bracket and then used the automated thing to fill out 24 more brackets. I was scrolling through them last night, telling me the details. I saw that Penn lost, and I watched some of the Penn game last night. I'd like to see the Ivy team do well. This is not like SEC people rooting for SEC teams. If you are a one bid league, it's appropriate that you root for your conference. if you're a 9-big league, it is not appropriate for you to root for your conference. Pitbull 64 likes what the Titans are doing with getting guys familiar with coordinator's scheme and trying to balance familiarity with quantity. Still need to draft one. I think it's a little heavy on the percentage of people that are familiar with the Titans. A little heavy on familiarity. What's the pro, and Stillman, to his credit, said this, what's the pro scouting department doing? Like, are they sent on vacation? Because they're certainly not being listened to. Because the thing that has ruled the day here are Dayball and Salah relationships. And so what's the importance of the pro scouting department? I think that's a fair and legitimate question. Hey, I appreciate all of you. I just had occasion to tell one of my classes at Belmont about don't block the box and about be sure to lock your locks. So you guys have been in the know for a long, long time. But take faith that 25 students at Belmont University in the fine city of Nashville, Tennessee, now know what that means and the stories behind those fine things. I ask you to consider supporting independent journalism on the Titans in Nashville by joining paulkuharsky.com. I ask you to partake in the fine dining available to you at Edleys BBQ, 8 locations in and around Middle Tennessee, or use the app and have them bring food to you. And I ask you, final, don't block the box, and be sure, please, please, to lock your locks. Cheers.